Hey now, guys, what is happening? I am back with another review for you. I still feel like shit, guys. I thought by now, I've had this sickness now for like 2 weeks. I wonder if it's COVID. I don't know. But I feel like crap. I'm in my robe. I don't give a fuck. If you guys see some skin, that's your problem. Tune out or whatever. All right, let's move on, guys. I'm doing this for you, so I'm going to review Volume 21, Blood and Thunder, as best I can. It's actually a pretty easy read, guys. Despite it being 504 pages, took me only 3 days to read it. We have the last few issues of Ron Mars on the book. Jim Starlin, So, Blood and Thunder, I'll say, is a 13-part storyline where Thor's Warrior's Madness, and I can kind of relate because whatever the sicknesses I have, it feels like a madness. Oh my god, it's bad. Anyway, so I can feel what Thor's going through. Ron Mars does the Thor issues 468 to 471, as well as Silver Surfer 86 to 88. I erroneously said that was released, but it has not. The Silver Surfer issues, that'll be in volume 10, whatever that will be titled. And I'm sure we'll probably have some of the Thor issues and maybe even the Warlock Chronicles and Warlock Infinity Watch issues. Although Silver Surfer wasn't really in those that much, so they might do partial issues and then have like a text stating, chapters 4 through 7 that don't relate to Silver Surfer. That might happen with Silver Surfer Volume 10, but fortunately with this Thor Volume 21, we have the whole complete 13-part chapter of Blood and Thunder. Of course, because it's Thor's storyline. Although I will say, I thought the Warlock Chronicles issues 6 to 8 really didn't need to be. The Warlock Infinity Watch was fine. Pip the Troll, he stole the show whenever he was on panel. So for those of you who may remember, the last volume 20 of the Final Gauntlet, in issue 460 of Thor, Odin sends Thor away from Asgard to travel the cosmos, and he's accompanied by the Valkyrie, not Brunhilde, just the Valkyrie, the Dark Valkyrie, whatever. And she apparently corrupts Thor. It was interesting. It also had to do with Odin. Oh, let me just say this, guys, and I've said this already many times. Odin, and this volume will be definitively clear. Odin is the true ultimate enemy of Thor, no doubt about it. Bigger than Loki, Hela, Karnilla, any of them. I mean, what? Oh my god, horrible father. Will never win Father of the Year or Leader of the Year or God of the Year. There's a rinse and repeat cycle where Odin makes it an edict, declares that Thor has to stay in Asgard. Thor says no, then he's banished, but then he comes back eventually to save Asgard, and then Odin's like, thank you. What would you like to do? And then Thor will be like, I'd like to go back to Earth. And Odin's like, got it, good. And then he's like, Thor, you need to come back to Asgard. No, I don't want to come back, Dad. What? So that's basically, and that, it's very tiresome. What I like about this with Blood and Thunder is that it finally breaks through the cycle of like rinse and repeat of just Odin trying to bully Thor into doing it his way, even though Thor doesn't want to follow his father's footsteps. He doesn't give a fuck about Asgard, and yeah, I just my point is that the reason why Thor is going through this, the Warrior's Madness, is because of the Valkyrie, number one. But number two, they say that Odin made Thor, well, it had something to do with bits and pieces. Like Thor was never really whole to begin with. He's always been bits and pieces of Don Blake, of Eric Masterson. He's mad because Odin basically used him and humiliated him. So this is Thor lashing out. And I you'd be very surprised, guys. I mean, you yourselves, if you read this, I think you would find yourself siding with Thor because, and Thor's supposed to be the bad guy here, but I think, nah, Odin is the ultimate evil. And oh, and I hate him. Like I hate Odin. I don't know why. When he talks, I'm just like, I do the best Odin voice, by the way, but I'm like, I fucking hate his dialogue because it's just, it's the same shit over and over. But you know, and everybody serves him. He's such a bad ruler. Anyway, so Blood and Thunder, guys. Sif, and I'm just gonna break it down to you in the 13 parts as best I can. But please read the book, guys. Don't take my word for it. So Thor's off with the Valkyrie, getting really angry and pissed. Sif once again enlists Beta Ray Bill to help her. Thor kicks the shit out of Beta Ray Bill. Silver Surfer shows up. He gets his ass kicked by Thor. Adam Warlock shows up. He gets his ass kicked by Thor. And Thor eventually kicks the shit out of Drax the Destroyer, takes the power gem. So now we have Thor with the Warrior's Madness and a power gem. So now pretty much everybody's fucked because nobody can defeat Thor. And they don't know what to do. At one point, and again with the Warlock stories, which were written by Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin wrote Warlock Chronicles 6-8 and Warlock in the Infinity Watch 23-25, while Ron Mars wrote 86-88 of Surfer and 468-471 of Thor. I thought Jim Starlin maybe not deviated, but he focused too much on Adam Warlock and the crew. I would say if they had just removed 6-8 of Warlock Chronicles, it would have been much smoother, the storyline. Infinity Watch was pretty decent. I really liked the Thor issues and Silver Surfer. I mean, they got to the meat and potatoes of the story because it featured Thor and his madness, while Warlock Chronicles, oh my god, at one point, the whole issue is Pip the Troll and some black dude named Maxam. I said Maxim, but it's A-M, M-A-X-A-M. They go to a country western bar and they deal with a bunch of racists because Maxim is black. And I don't know, the whole issue is just them fighting in a bar. But this is part of Blood and Thunder. I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with Silver Surfer? Anyway, but they eventually get back on the ball and take on Thor. Odin eventually gets involved towards the end. Thanos gets involved towards the end. And if you notice, this is from, I believe, issue 88 of Silver Surfer. They used the Silver Surfer cover for a Thor book. I don't know why. That's pretty dumb. I don't know why Marvel does that. They could have saved this for volume 10 of Silver Surfer and just use a Thor issue cover for this, for volume 21. Marvel's stupid. That's run by Disney, and Disney is pretty stupid. Anyway, we won't go in there. Politics. Anyway. But yeah, eventually Thanos helps the Infinity Watch and Surfer and Beta Ray Bill and Sif and all of them. Odin joins in. Then it turns out that Odin has to go inside. He can't remove. He realizes, oh, I'm responsible for making Thor act like a piece of shit. Even though I'm the piece of shit. Odin, that is. And so Odin has to go inside Thor. He can't take Thor. He can't separate Thor from the Warrior's Madness because it'll kill him. And throughout the whole thing, Sif and Beta Ray Bill attempt to stop Surfer and Warlock and the Infinity Watch from helping Thor because they think they're going to tell Odin about his Warrior's Madness. But they're misjudged. Like, they don't realize. Sif and Bill were pretty dumb. Like, they could have just said, hey, what are you guys doing? Maybe we can all team up. No, they're like, we got to stop them because they're going to tell Odin. Meanwhile, that was not the case. They just wanted to help Thor. But they think, if Odin finds out that he has the Warrior's Madness, he'll get exiled from Asgard. Which, I think that's what Thor wants, right? And he eventually does in 472. I'll get that in a second. But Odin is like a hero of sorts because he goes into Thor's mind, fights the Valkyrie, who's the true evil. I thought it was like Thanos for some reason. I thought Thanos was behind the whole thing, but he actually helps them out. And Odin apologizes to Thor, and Thor forgives him. And then that pretty much breaks. And then Thor fights the Valkyrie and then that's it. He's cured of the Warrior's madness. But the very next issue, 472, Thor's like, I want to go back to Earth. He actually, Odin says, so you're going to stay here in Asgard, right, son? And Thor says, nay. There's like a big nay. I should show you guys, but you guys can buy that. I'm sure this is in your comic book stores. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, you know. But there's a big brouhaha. Odin sends the Warriors 3 to arrest Thor, but Thor kicks the shit out of all of them without the Warriors Madness, without the Power Gem. He still wins, and he exiles himself. Heimdall lets him pass. Like, he's like, I'm not going to fight with this guy. Fuck it. Sif decides to stay in Asgard because, of course, she hates Earth or Midgard. And then Thor, phlegm. Thor meets these characters called the Godlings. And it turns out the High Evolutionary is back following his madness on the Black Galaxy. You guys remember Volume 18. He got loopy because a new Celestial was born on Ego or something, or in the Black Galaxy, and it made him stupid. Well, now he's back and he has a sense, and he's playing God again. But meanwhile, and this is from 472 to... Okay, so 472, 3, and 5. I put in the note, in the post, I included 474 as a 4-part storyline, but technically 474 was a standalone issue. I guess they didn't want to miss the deadline, so they put in a story that had nothing to do with the High Evolutionary. But so 472, 3, and 5 has Thor hooking up with the High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary takes him to Wundagore Mountain, or Mount Wundagore, because he's at it again. High Evolutionaries created a new species of characters, like humans now as gods, who he calls Godlings, but they want to be called God Pack. And then, meanwhile, the Man Beast, who's now calling himself Carnivore with a K and no E at the end. Yeah, because that's cool. So now Man Beast is Carnivore, and he leads the New Men, formerly the New Men. Now they're the Anti Mutants, A-N-I Mutants, Anti Mutants, not anti mutants, but Anti Mutants. Okay, whatever. And then there's just a big fight in Wundagore Mountain. 475 is a huge 41-page book issue that closes out the book. And Thor finds Don Blake and Jane Foster. That was kind of weird. I don't know. But it ends with Thor deciding to stay with the High Evolutionary and the Godlings, or the God Pack, whatever they're called. And he's got a new costume now, which looks pretty fat. It actually looks like something Odin would wear. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's Volume 21, Blood and Thunder, 18 issues. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the book also opens with Annual 18, which is from 1993. And for those of you who may or may not know, in 1993, all of the annuals from Marvel introduced a new character in the title. So X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force, Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Avengers, Iron Man, Daredevil, Captain America, Doctor Strange. Anybody who had a 1993 annual had a first appearance character. And success or failure, good or bad, whatever, it was a first appearance. And in this one, the Flame, who actually was a good story because it was like a half elf, half fire demon. So from Alfheim, his mother was from Alfheim. She was the elf, and the father was from Muspelheim, which is where the fire demons are. And yeah, they show rape. And then it's silhouetted, but you can tell the mom is raped by the fire demon, and then the Flame is created. But it turns out the Flame has the looks of an elf, so he's gorgeous, but he thinks he's ugly because he's worn this mask over his head all his life. So it's a very sad story. This is Annual 18, by the way, the main story. And then Thor dispatches him, but then they show he comes back, and Loki hooks up with the Flame. So I have a feeling we're going to see the Flame again in a league with Loki. That was, like I said, Annual 18, Blood and Thunder, and the last 4 issues. 474, I don't even know why I may have to edit the post. But 474 was just Thor flashing back to a Tales of Asgard story that was told back in the 60s when he fought Mogul. If you guys remember, I think Mogul was the dude who killed Hogan the Grimm's people, and Hogan swore revenge. That was from 137 to 145 of Thor. Yeah, that was actually the last Tales of Asgard story until, they came back later in the 80s. The last 60s Tales of Asgard back in 68. So that's retold, and Thor's thinking about it while he's on his way to Wundagore Mountain with the High Evolutionary and the Godlings. And that's it, guys. Wow. I think I was pretty succinct there. I'm sick still, guys, so don't worry about it. I'll be all right. I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know if it's worse, something worse, but I'll get through it. It feels like a familiar sickness. But yeah, guys, do yourselves a favor. Buy this book, Volume 21, Blood and Thunder. And on that note, I am going to move on to Volume 22, Hell on Earth, guys. So we have about this and then 3 more books. I'm closing it on October 1st, which will be the 2-month anniversary that I started reading Thor. I started Volume 1 on August 1st. So I'm almost there, guys. Check that out. This should also be in your bookstores too, comic book stores or Barnes & Noble. So check that out, guys. Hell on Earth, Volume 22 is the next one. I will see you all next time. I forgot to mention also, Roy Thomas takes over. He wrote 472 through 475 in Volume 21. So Ron Mars is gone. Jim Starlin is gone. He's been gone since like 462 of Volume 20. But now we're back with Roy Thomas. So we'll see where that goes with Hell on Earth, Volume 22. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you have any questions, let me know what you're reading. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.